Okay, thank you so much, Chirag, for introduction and setting up the stage. Looking forward to this session, and I hope everyone will be having some learning from this session. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all of you, because we all are joined from different time zone. This is good afternoon for me from India. I'm very excited to have you all here for today's session and on a very critical and timely topic, that is M365 Copilot, security risk and how to protect your data. My name is Dr. Abhilasha Vyas, and I'm going to talk on this topic. So, as we step deeper into the era of AI, it's essential to understand both the opportunities and risk uh, this technology brings to the table, and especially in the terms of security. So, with the rapid adoption of M365 Copilot, businesses are transforming how they work by leveraging AI to automate tasks and improve productivity. And let me tell you that the slides which I'm going to share and I'm going to use for this session today, I have used M365 Copilot to give me a I can say that the plan slides, I've just given a topic and I asked Copilot to create that presentation for me and then little bit of tweak and the slides were ready. So but this kind of power, it comes with responsibility. So while Copilot can do wonders, we all are agree that it can also open doors to potential security vulnerabilities if it's not handled carefully. So that's why I thought of taking this session and you will be able to understand the security risk, how M365 Copilot is very much secure, and what all best practices we can use to make everything secure in our environment. So, a little bit about me, as Chirag mentioned that I work with CloudThat, and I'm very, very active in communities and very open to share my knowledge. Couple of certifications I have, which talks about security services, which Microsoft is offering to all the customers to secure their data, their applications, network, and all. And I'm member of many Azure communities, and yes, I have my own user group also in my city, Badodara, Gujarat, to promote Microsoft cloud services in this small city. And yeah, we are also having monthly events. And another thing is, as a female, I want to bring more female into this tech field, specifically the security domain. So I'm part of other women technical communities also. And in CloudThat, I'm working as a head technical sales. And you can see the QR code for my LinkedIn. At the end of the session also, I will share this LinkedIn QR code. Feel free to connect with me for seeing the timeline for session. Maybe we will not be able to spend much time on the question and answer. So I highly recommend you all to post the questions in the chat, and I will also happy to help you on those questions if you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn. So with that, let us start first with the M365 Copilot overview. I'm going to start with this because maybe we can have a mixed audience where you all are, maybe few are introducing with Copilot first time. So I thought that I'll just take a quick intro of Copilot for M365, and then we will go and deep dive how Copilot works, and then we will have some questions that how we can make our secure communication and how the Copilot is uh, safe for M365 and other applications. Yeah. So Copilot for M365, the first important thing is it is an AI powered productivity tool. And this is basically coordinates LLM, the content in Microsoft Graph, and the Microsoft 365 applications, which we use every day, be it Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams. We can't work our day-to-day activity without these important applications. Now, this integration provides a real-time intelligent assistant and also enabling us to enhance our creativity. Like I've given the example that these slides, Copilot helped me in designing. So the basic work of creating the slides and giving an order for the talk that is created by Copilot with yes, my prompt only. But then it was a very less work for me to add my own flavor in that. So my creativity also increased, productivity definitely increased because I've saved time. So that's important to understand that Copilot is helping us in that. And Copilot for M365 uses, as we discussed, combination of LLM and AI, and it uses deep learning techniques also, just to understand the vast data sets, to summarize that, to predict that, and to generate a new content also based on the requirement. Now, these LLMs include pre-trained models such as uh, generative pre-trained transformers like GPT, GPT-4, or designed to excel, like these kind of tasks which we use in our everyday operations. And we will also going to discuss that how M365 Copilot works. That will also give us the understanding that how the interaction is happening from the user perspective, how the LLM is responding, what is the grounding, pre-processing, all these things we will be discussing in the upcoming slide. So let me take you to the next slide. So this is give us the entire architecture Copilot for M365, where we will be seeing that how Microsoft Copilot works. Here, if you see, there are 5 steps which is given. The first is user prompts are sent to Copilot. Then Copilot accesses graph, and also we have an optional thing like web. So I will also show you that how we can enable web, but again, this will be going to be secure because there will be a wall between the things which we do in our organization and the things which we will be doing in the web. Then the other services for grounding. The third step is that Copilot sends modified prompt to LLM. Then Copilot receives the response, and then it is going to access the graph for compliance and purview. Like you receive the response, but what all you want to uh, block, what kind of a tweak you want to do, or what kind of access is given to the user. Based on that, you will be uh, sending the response to the users. So first, when Copilot receives an input prompt from us users in the application, like Word or PowerPoint or Excel or any application where we send a prompt, then Copilot pre-process the input prompt through the approach which is called as grounding process. This particular process improves the specificity of the prompt so that you can get the answers which are very, very relevant and actionable to your specific task. Let's say if I'll ask Copilot to summarize the entire presentation. So I need a summary of all my slides which I've created for today's session in a single slide, maybe the conclusion slide. So Copilot will give me that kind of results based on the prompt which I'm giving. And these prompts can include the text, like I can say that create this presentation from this Word document. Give me a summary of this PDF. So, or create a presentation from this PDF document. That kind of prompts I can give. So Copilot sends these prompts to the LLM for the processing. Now, the thing is that Copilot only accesses data that an individual user has existing access to. I can't use the data or I can't access the data for which I'm not authorized to. So that's the important thing. It is based on existing M365 role-based access control, which we will be going in detail in the upcoming slide also. But this is important to note, which will show that how secure this access will be. The data access will be given based on the role you have assigned to. Once this particular steps is taken, now Copilot take the response from the LLM and post process it. It's pre-process also and the post process also. Now this post processing includes like calls to Microsoft Graph or any responsible AI checks, security, compliance, privacy review, any kind of command generation, and then Copilot returns the response to the application where the user is going to review and assess the response. Now here the user prompt and Copilot response to the prompt is also called as a content of interaction. And in Copilot interaction history, we can see all these interactions also. We can also take this interaction history to make our prompts more efficient in fetching the information the way we want. So this is all the iterative process, and it also orchestrate these sophisticated services, and this help in producing the results which are relevant to your organization, because all these are contextually based on your organizational data. So that's a very important that in your organizational environment only you are asking the queries, and based on that you are getting the responses, and it's highly safe. As you have seen, it's completely based on the access you have in your environment. So after seeing this process of the Copilot, the question is Copilot for M365 safe? So I'm telling you from I think this year March I'm using Copilot, and based on my experience I can say a very short answer: yes, it is secure and it is safe, because Microsoft goes above and beyond to make sure that all data which is supported to this new AI tool, this new Copilot, is safe. Microsoft assures that Copilot for M365 is compliant with the existing privacy, security, and compliance commitment to M365 commercial users. This also includes GDPR, European data boundary, all these things. And that's how this makes safe for all the users. Yes, let's go a little more deep diver into this, that what all things are coming into that. So Copilot, as we discussed, is highly secure, which inherits Microsoft 365's robust security, compliance, and privacy control. And it also ensure privacy, not only using the customer data for model training or enforcing role-based access, it also adhere to the enterprise grade protection policies and encryption, data loss prevention, whatever policies you are using, it also adhere to that as well. So the first point, if you see on the slide, Copilot for M365 only pulls from your Microsoft Graph. So this is probably one of the biggest safety reassurances while simultaneously being the biggest safety concern. So by only accessing information from your personalized graph, that means the information provided is not only correct, but incredibly secure, as Copilot will never give your information to someone who does not have access to it. You will get a response: you are not authorized to access this information. The only data concern here would be the user error. Like it's a big concern. Human is a weak link in the security. We all know that. So if you have not configured your roles properly, if you have not given access properly in your organization, then we can't control this. Otherwise, information is completely safe in Copilot for M365. But we just have to be careful that who we are giving permissions to for accessing this application or this particular data. Now, Copilot LLM is only fed by you. The prompt, responses, and the data accessed through Microsoft Graph, these are not used to train Microsoft LLM. So this includes the content like emails, chat, documents, which we have, and we have permissions to access this information. That's only is there in Microsoft Graph. So your Copilot for M365 experience is completely personalized to your information. It's completely personalized to me when I'm using it, completely personalized for you when you are using all the Microsoft application which we use every day. It's completely personalized. But as a human, we have to take care that what kind of access and permissions we are giving to the entire hierarchy. Now, work versus web function. That's a very interesting point. So Copilot will only use the data you provide it with, unless you ask it to pull from the web. You have to enable that from the web, then only it will be going to fetch from the web. And you can also vet like the people and the things which you are including in your graph. And you can also have your work toggle completely safe from the outside threads. What You can still use a web function, but you have to be very careful that what prompts you are providing it. And additionally, Microsoft cannot access your encrypted information. So just imagine if it's safe from Microsoft, it's safe from Copilot also. So we just have to also understand, like when we are talking about security, it's very important to understand about zero trust policies as well. So when we are setting up a system, we are not trusting or we are not giving access to the people to outside of the organization. That way, we are doing a groundwork for erasing the user errors for sharing the information. If any external user is not having access in my environment, they will not be able to access the data also because they don't have that access. So even if they are going to toggle to the web, this will also help eradicate the internet getting access to your information provided. So the security policies which we are enabling, that also help in controlling the access which we are giving to the users. And the third important point is Microsoft protects customer data, because Microsoft has a policy in place to protect customer data regardless, and this applies to Copilot for M365 also. So multiple forms of protection to safeguard organizational data, like server-side technologies are utilized to encrypt customer content. And it's important to understand that it's both at the rest and in the transit. And this ensured the robust security measures. So encryption is very, very important. We can have connections like we can use TLS, also transmission of data from one application to another. We can also architect to protect the tenant group, individual data, so we can protect the data leakage also. And the most important thing is it's completely built on Microsoft's comprehensive approach to security, compliance, and privacy. And I think this statement I'm repeating almost in every slide because this is important uh, to note that it is based on the comprehensive approach to security, compliance, and privacy, which we all trust and built on. MFA authentication, compliance boundaries, privacy protections, and many more make Copilot the AI solution which we all can trust. Now, how we have seen all these things where we have seen that Copilot is safe. I'm trying to convince you all. I'm trying to give you scenarios through which you all can understand that. So, how does Microsoft Copilot handle data? Maybe that can give more clarity to all of us to understand. So, Microsoft Copilot uses varieties of data sources to provide personalized assistance to user, and these data sources include the activities which the user is doing, so user activity data, and these includes emails, calendar events, documents, also the contextual data, Teams chats, location of the user, device information, and Copilot also uses machine learning models to analyze user data and provide relevant suggestions and insights. So let us see that with these data sources, how Microsoft Copilot is handling the data. And what are the data security and privacy implications of using Microsoft Copilot? So we are talking about data sources. So when we say that we are going to work on our data, so this data can be in different categories. So with any technology which is handling the specific category of the data, that is sensitive data, it is very important to understand the data security and privacy implications when we are using the Copilot also. So Microsoft implemented number of security and privacy measures to protect user data specifically when using Copilot. The first is data encryption. So all the data sources which we discussed, Copilot is handling the data sources using data encryption. So Microsoft encrypts user data both in transit and at the rest, and also it protects from the unauthorized access. The second important point is access control. When Copilot is handling various data sources, the important point to note is that it uses access control to ensure that only authorized users can access user data. And also when we talk about data, we have data which is with us from last couple of years. So we have to work on data retention policies also, that which data we need to store and which data we can keep in a different storage or we can discard also. So Microsoft established data retention policies to ensure that user data only retained for as long as it's needed and it's completely in the hand of the users. And also the point which we can understand is transparency. So Microsoft is transparent about its data security, privacy practices, and also provide users with information about how their data is used and protected. So when we say that Copilot is using multiple data sources, it is also important to note that the measures taken while handling the data are data encryption, access controls, data retention policies, and transparency. And these are the things which we are trusting from so long. And what are the common security risks which are associated with M365 Copilot? So if I say, because I work with a company where we manage trainings specifically to all the Microsoft domains. So when we talk to organization, those who are trying to set up for the Copilot or they need any help in managing Copilot for their users, how end user is going to work on that. So many organizations we have seen that are still not fully ready to handle the risks which are associated with implementing Microsoft Copilot for M365 technologies on a large scale. So the important point which we are understanding from last couple of slides is access control system. This is embedded in your M365 tenant and it is designed to prevent any accidental data sharing among users, groups, and different tenants. So in every slide, I'm emphasizing on access control. That's the key role to give a major control on unauthorized access. Copilot for M365 is also set up to reveal information. If you have a strong access control setup, user can access, utilize the data access, and also will have only access and visibility to the data which they are authorized to. So exposure of sensitive data is very, very important when we talk about security of the data sources which Copilot is handling. So the important part when we say that we need to protect data, the first question arises, what data, what type of data I want to store. So many of the organizations are still not very much sure about the type of data they have in their organization. It's important to have different categories of your data. The categorization of the data is important. Then only you can identify that this stack of data is sensitive data and it should be treated in this manner. So exposure of sensitive data is sometimes happening because lack of visibility into the sensitive files and the data stores. And this combined with excessive access permissions, and this may expose sensitive data to unauthorized user. If you have 2, 3 projects running and one user is working in both the projects, till that project is working, you should be giving access to the user, internal or external. After the project end, the access should be removed automatically, or there should be a way to check that this user is still having the access or not. So there are a lot of ways also through which you can review the access, like access review policies you can check. So exposure of sensitive data, as I mentioned, is lack of visibility into the type of files you have and the document you have. Now, this also comes with a own set of risks, and these risks are multiplied in hands of malicious insider threat actors. And this also create a different kind of a problem in our organization level when we talk about the sensitive data and exposure of Copilot generated sensitive data. So first is exposure of sensitive data, then the exposure of Copilot generated sensitive data. So Copilot, as we discussed, using diverse data sources, and that can lead to the users become unaware of generated content that contains sensitive information, which is confidential business data or employee data. So this could also lead to unintentional sharing of sensitive data with third parties or unauthorized user. And then, as I mentioned, that if you are able to categorize your data, you should be labeling it. But if you are not using a proper sensitive label, then also it can create a problem. So the third point, which can consider as a common security risk, that is improper use of sensitive labels. So newly generated content inherits the sensitive labels of the files Copilot reference to. We can have automatic labeling also, or we can have our manual labeling also for the files and the contents of the documents we have. So this also create the problem of inconsistent labeling of sensitive files also. And this also require active reinforcement and also raises the risk of exposing sensitive data to unauthorized parties. So these are the few measures which we should take care, because exposure of sensitive data we can control, exposure of Copilot generated sensitive data we can control, and yes, up to certain extent we can also control the improper use of sensitive labels also, if we are using the policies in a very smart way and efficient way. So the other security and privacy considerations which we will be focusing on is role-based access control in M365 Copilot. So Microsoft Copilot enhanced the productivity and also enhanced the security and privacy in its operation. The first is, if we need to understand that how Copilot is ensuring the data security is there and also it is adhering to privacy policies, the first we can consider is compliance with Microsoft security standards. So from the very first slide, I was mentioning that Copilot is built to adhere to Microsoft stringent security protocols and that ensure that data is handled securely. Data encryption, again, at the rest, in the transit, it is rest assured that all data processed by Copilot is encrypted and also safeguard against the unauthorized access. And also important to note that regular security audits are required. So this also undergoes routine security evaluations to identify and rectify the potential vulnerabilities. So we discussed about security and privacy consideration. We also discussed about how Copilot is handling the data. We also discussed that is Copilot is safe or not. Now let's move to the next theme which I have selected for today's session. That is, what is the role of Microsoft Graph in maintaining security and privacy? Because if you remember the slide that how Copilot is working, in that we have seen that Copilot is talking to your graph, collecting the information, and then based on that, it is generating the response. So what is the role of Microsoft Graph? The first is again the access control, that Microsoft Graph plays a very crucial role in controlling access to data. Now, Copilot is leveraging access controls to ensure that it only interact with data that users are authorized to access, and also the contextual data processing. So when we talk about contextual data processing, Microsoft Graph help the contextualize user queries, also enhance the Copilot response accuracy, and also it is maintaining the privacy boundaries also. Microsoft Graph, when we say, it also help us in complying with organizational policy also. It integrates with organizational policies, ensure Copilot operations which are aligned with company specific privacy and security standards. So that's the important role of Microsoft Graph. Uh, if you see few other pointers which are limiting Copilot 365 access to data, files, and emails. So sensitive information within the Copilot 365, where we need to ensure data, files, emails, and that's the major security thing, accessed only and only by authorized person. That is very, very crucial for maintaining data integrity and security. So if you see again, the first point which is important in terms of security is role-based access. You can think of the summary of the entire presentation. The first is role-based access control, where we are defining specific role, and every organization is having their own role hierarchy. So we can define the roles within our organization. We can assign the permissions based on these roles, and like we will creating a role which will be able to access the sensitive data or files only, can read only. So these kind of roles we can create. We can also customize the permissions. We can create our own custom roles by customizing the permissions, where the user can only access the data which is necessary for their job function. So that we can work in the RBAC, that is role based access control. Then it comes to the data loss prevention policies. We are not aware that from where data is leaking, what are the ways unintentionally my people are sharing data outside the organization or even inside the organization. So setting up data loss prevention policies will give us little control on flow of the data inside and outside. So it's very important to set up DLP policies. So DLP policies, when we say in Copilot 365, again, it is used to identify, monitor, and automatically protect sensitive information across M365 services. We can create rules that prevent sharing sensitive information outside your organization, or even if you can design it, maybe internally also you will not be able to share it. Project A information should not be shared to the Project B team or something like that, so that we can control by creating such policies. And yes, the third is sensitive label, as I discussed earlier also. When you know that this is important, you can label it, and that label will help you in enforcing the policies which you are creating for protection of that. So applying sensitive label is important to enforce the protection settings like encryption or access restrictions. You can also use automatic labeling to classify data based on its content and context during the creation or modification. Next comes secure email communication. When we talk about secure email communication, we should work on email encryption and also the transport rules. So email encryption in M365 is used to send encrypted emails, and this prevent unauthorized access. Only authorized user will get the email. They have some key through which they can decrypt the information and read that email. And we can also implement the transport rules to control the flow of sensitive information. And also we can block or reroute the emails based on the specific condition. With all these four pointers, the next pointer which I have taken for security measure is audit logs and monitoring. And I think that's again an important point. When we talk about security, we always talk about 3A: authentication, authorization, and auditing. And that auditing gave us the power to check that what's happening in the org is as per the rules and compliance or not. We can keep track of everything. So we should enable audit logging, and we should also regularly monitor. We can track all the log activities across the Copilot 365, and that help us in identifying the unauthorized access or policy violation. So those logs can help us in giving the picture. And if we are regularly monitoring it, it will help us in analyzing the potential security threats or any data breaches. Then comes the regular access reviews. As I mentioned in the previous slide also, that access reviews are important. So we should conduct periodic reviews, because these regular reviews and update access permissions this ensures that the users are aligned with current job roles and responsibilities. So you can revoke the access also. In case you want to extend the access, you can do that also. So you can promptly revoke the access rights when they are no longer needed or when employees leaving the organization. So all those things, if we are regularly doing the access review, that will make us unable to manage the access in a very, very proper manner. And the last and the very, very important and very near to me is training and awareness. When I talk to users, when I talk to other the participants, they always say that cloud is not safe. Now they say Copilot is not safe. Cloud, Microsoft Cloud is giving enormous services to make your data, your application safe and secure. If you are not trained properly, you will not be able to use those services. So the very important part is educate your employees, educate your team, conduct and plan training sessions about the importance of data security, how we can handle this sensitive data in our environment, what are the ways, what are the services which we need to understand to implement and control data security. That is very, very important. We can also plan phishing awareness, which we also do in our organization and for other organization also. Design the customized training program, work in that area. So that help uh, everyone to understand that what kind of measures we already have to work on the security part. So these are the few pointers which we need to understand, and how business can ensure. The first point which we all can understand is the education to the user, education to the employees about the importance. They should also work on access controls where they can ensure that only authorized users can access the user data. Data encryption, data retention policies, regular audits. These are the major things which business can ensure while using the Copilot. These are the few best practices which I've just listed. Again, emphasizing more on comprehensive training and awareness programs, because with the help of such programs only, it is very, very easy uh, to understand the importance of security, and based on that can be worked on, like enabling the MFA that also give a added flavor to the security. We can limit the access, we can review and customize the Copilot data handling, we can conduct regular audits, all these things which we discussed earlier. We can also utilize the strong and unique passwords. And I hope that many of you are aware that we have that kind of control in Microsoft Intra also, where we can protect, we have password protection policy. We can also ban some commonly used password. All those things we have, but it's just need to have a proper training to the people so that they can work on these services which are available. Then regular testing, evaluation, and also reviewing and customizing Copilot data handling and privacy settings. Because after review, if you are not implementing the feedback or if you are not working on the feedback, that is not going to help you anyway. So that is important to that. And okay, case studies and real world examples. So every sector is using Copilot. Finance is using Copilot to generate quarterly financial report. Uh, it can get a mix of the input data. It can create some kind of insights in that data, and it can classify so that it can be used. HR can use Copilot to compile the internal report on employee performance, which include the personal employee information. Um, R&D, like it can use for the product development team, which use Copilot for brainstorming new product ideas based on the existing property. Marketing can use for multiple users for analyzing feedbacks, generating reports. So there are so many case studies and real world examples which are there. I use Copilot every day uh, for summarizing my emails, for preparing my day, start of the day, summarizing the meetings. So many things we can do with the help of Copilot. But yes, we have to be very, very sure about the control and the access which we are giving. Uh, I think I've reached to the end of the things which I prepared. This is a small community which I've just started to give discussion or to give few things related to, I can say that, security. Like if you want to learn more about security, if you want to uh, discuss on new things which are coming, or maybe if you want to suggest something to me that yes, you can use these topics while giving presentation in the communities, I'll be happy to take those all. So please see if you want to join this. And at the end, please post your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to take that. So this is my LinkedIn QR also. To wrap up the things, I just wanted to summarize that we have discussed how risk can impact, how we can implement strong access control, we can use encryptions, and we all know that AI continues to reshape the business landscape, and it's very, very essential to have a right balance between embracing innovation and safeguarding the access. We have to remember that right security protocols in place, we can fully leverage the power of Microsoft Copilot without compromising our data integrity. So I encourage each of you to take today's insight back to your teams. Consider that how you can apply these best practices to strengthen your security posture, and let's continue to innovate, but let's also do it very, very responsibly. And I think I have one more slide, rate my session also. And please connect with me if you have any question, post it in the chat. At the end of the session, I'll be very happy to answer those questions in the chat. So thank you so much, Chirag, for having me. Thank you, Matt, Vesa, everyone for organizing it. I was not having many demo, but I was just having the pointers to discuss because this is important. I don't want to divert the concentration from this topic to demo. So yeah, thank you so much, Chirag, for having me and moderating this session.